Hi, my little shorties. Today I'm going to be working on a background in Enchanted Forest. I had started it yesterday and I was like, I'm going to shoot a video real quick because maybe you guys would like to know how I do it. So the image that I'm going to be working on with you guys today is going to be this image, and I'm going to show you how to do this autumn-esque background right here. So to save a little time on the video, I already started putting my initial layer down of the brown, and that brown color is 941 Light Umber, and I put just a little bit of Sepia down at the bottom here to darken it up a little bit. So that's 948 Sepia, just around the edge there. And then again, this main part here is 941 Light Umber. I'm going to go ahead and add PC1033 Mineral Orange. And I'm going to go right over top of that light umber about halfway. And then bring it into the section I haven't colored yet. Make sure when you're putting your initial layer of color down that when you get to the point that you're getting ready to transition, that you lighten up your hand a little bit so it's more of a gradient. If you do a nice harsh dark line, it's going to be a lot harder to blend that out. So you can see right there where I'm adding the orange about halfway into the brown, that brown color is lighter up toward the top. Do you all like this style of video where I've already started something and then I just continue it on camera to show you what I'm doing, or do you prefer right from the beginning? I'm trying to get a better understanding of what interests everyone. So basically what I'm going to be doing here is gradient. I really love the way this turned out up here. So I'm hoping that this looks really, really, really good. And when you're doing a gradient, you can do it by hand, or when you're done adding your colors down, as long as you have a pretty thick layer of pigment down, you can use a blending pencil and that will help too. I did use a blending pencil up here to help smooth out the pigment, but it looked pretty good before I even used the pencil. And to shorten this video, I'm probably going to speed up a little bit in between each layer. And it is up to you how far up the image you want to use this brighter orange. And this will work with essentially any color you choose to add. So if you don't like the yellows and the oranges, you could choose other colors too. The concept will be the same. You just want to pick colors that are a little bit lighter in shade than the previous color that you chose. Make sure that wherever you want that gradient to end, you're going to put a little bit extra of the color you're working with, because you're going to blend the next color into that color. So like here, if you want to add the next color, you would go a little bit into that. So that's going to be a pretty thin line there. I'm going to make mine a little bit thicker because I really like this like burnt orangey type color. Also make sure as you're adding the width of the difference in the color that you're going to put down there in the transition areas that you are lightening up your hand. Again, you don't want a really harsh line. All right, now I'm going to go to my next color, which is going to be 1034 Goldenrod. And I'm going to go partially into my previous color, which was Mineral Orange. And be careful here, guys, because it looks like it's kind of missing a line on that edge. So I'm just going to follow that line around. It would be somewhere around there. All right, the next color is PC940 Sand. And again, I'm going to blend right into the previous color, which was Goldenrod. And I will add in just a little bit of this latest color, which is 914 Cream. And that's what I did right here, 914 Cream. All right, hold on, this is the sand. Just gonna darken this up a little bit. If you don't have a blender pencil, you can keep going back over where your color transitions are and keep adding layers until it smooths out. Or you can use a blender pencil, which is going to help you a lot with something like this. I love my blender pencil. I went years not using one, and now I just love it. I use it all the time. So you would go back in with your next shade, 1034 Goldenrod, and you would just keep adding your layers until it smooths out. Also remember, if you're going to use a blender pencil, that you need to have enough pigment on the paper that the pigment is going to move around. So unless you put a really heavy first layer, you want to make sure that you have a couple layers down there, or you won't be able to get it to blend as nicely. And just make sure you're bringing your colors into the previous color. See, as you can see, without even the blender, it's already looking a lot better. All right, I'm going to come back in with my 1033 Mineral Orange. Before I use the blending pencil, I typically put 3 layers down, but I was heavy-handed on both this layer and the previous layer, so I'm only going to do 2 for the sake of this video. I think I did 4 for that, but you can blend by hand. It just takes a little bit of time. And if you're going to blend by hand, you want to not be so heavy-handed, because you really want that gradient to blend nicely. And if you lay too much pigment at one time, it's not going to blend very nicely. And keep in mind that after you use the blending pencil, you won't be able to add very many layers to it. So make sure you use that only when finishing. All right, so that is all I'm going to do before I use the blending pencil. So you can definitely see where the gradient is, especially into this brown area, because I was very heavy-handed when I did this for the sake of saving time with the video. But I also knew I was going to use a blending pencil, so I wasn't too bothered by it. So now I'm going to use the 1077 Colorless blender. And you just start on the outside and you work your way in. And you want to use extra time and finesse where the colors transition. And you should be able to push the pigment around a little bit with the blending pencil. If you cannot push it around a little bit, the pigment doesn't move or smooth out, then you don't have enough layers on. I've also noticed that it gets less scratchy, or it feels less scratchy when using the blender pencil if you have enough pigment on the paper. But I've tried to show that to a couple other people in person, and they don't seem to notice the difference in feel. But I can feel when I have enough layers down. Again, the pigment moves. Sorry, I just noticed I missed a little spot right here. I'm going to add a little bit more of the orange right here to see if I can blend this out just like a little bit more. I'm going really lightly. I'm not pressing really hard. This is, I'm sorry, this is mineral orange I'm adding. There's such a difference between the really dark brown color and the orange that I wasn't getting it as smooth of a gradient as I wanted. Again, it's not going to accept much more pigment. I don't know if you just saw the dust that was coming off of that. I'm not even pressing really hard, but because I already used a colorless blender, it's just not going to accept much more. So I think my transition's good here. I just didn't like it so much here. It was harsh. This image took approximately 30 minutes to color. So you want to give yourself about 45 minutes to finish. I color on the slow side, so I'm giving it a little extra time in case anybody is a little slower than I am, but you might be able to finish this even faster than I did. Remember to take special care in the transition areas and really blend them out, and make sure you have enough color on the page to blend and smooth. In the transition areas, especially the darker colors, you want to keep your hand not as heavy in those areas, so you want to make it kind of a gradient into those areas so you won't get as harsh of a line. And if you're blending by hand, make sure that you do lighter layers, which will help you smooth and blend much easier than if you try to use heavier layers. All right, everyone, there you go. There's my autumn-esque earthy background. I hope you all have learned something from this video. Hope you like what you see. If you have, make sure you hit like and subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you're told each and every time I post a new video. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, color happy, and remember, shh, it's our little secret.